And now, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
You pull that trigger. You kill me, Feathers, and I'll come back and haunt you. I'll come back and haunt you for the rest of your days. Don't you forget that.
Listen now to Act One of Feathers, starring Lawson Zerbe, and written especially for Suspense by Jonathan Bundy.
Hey, Pete! Pete! Come on, Pete, open up. I know you're in there. Hey, Andy, sit, open up. I gotta bust down this lousy door.
Okay.
All right, now, what's the gag? What's the idea of trying to make out like you wasn't here?
Because I thought maybe it was you, Feathers.
Yeah, it's me. I want to know where you been. Why you ain't been out collecting for me? Why I gotta Well. Now, look at that. Now, that's what I call a real nice-looking set of luggage, Petey.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. You know, I had a feeling today. You know those feelings I get, Petey, when the stars and the moon ain't right for me? Like that astrology, that star reader said? The one I go to have my fortune told?
Oh, that's just a lot of superstition, Feathers.
Oh, well, you call it superstition, huh? When one of them lucky horseshoes I got fell off the wall this morning, when all of a sudden this lucky rabbit's foot here starts kicking around in my pocket, you call that superstition?
Yes, I do.
Well, I don't. Because they told me something was wrong, Pete, so that's why I come up here looking for you. And what do I find? Instead of you out on a job, you're locked up in here with all this nice new fancy luggage.
So what?
And all full up, too. Now, how about that? You thinking of maybe taking a little trip, Petey boy, huh? Oh, come on. Now, you wouldn't be keeping any secret from your old pal Feathers, would you? When a guy that picked you up off of the bread line, knocked some of those hick ideas out of your head, showed you how to make yourself a little easy dough here in a big city? Now, you wouldn't be holding out on me now, would you, Petey? Oh, wait, come on, I asked you, kid. You think you're going someplace?
Yes.
Oh, you do,
I'm going on back to Kansas, and I'm going to face up to it and admit that I couldn't make an honest go of it here in the city. I'm leaving just as soon as I can finish packing here.
Yeah, well, that's what you think, but... Nobody walks out on me, you understand? But nobody. I'll kill you first, Petey. You understand that? I'll kill you.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. You'd be too scared that I might come back and haunt you.
What?
Yeah. You better think about that, hadn't you?
No. No, because that's something I don't believe in.
Well, you better believe in one thing. I'm through with all this, Feathers, and I'm getting out.
Oh, you are. You're too good for this kind of work, huh? Is that it?
If I'd had sense enough to realize what a rotten, crooked business this money-lending racket of yours was going to turn out to be...
Now, listen, you two-bit punk. You was tickled silly for a chance to hook up with me, and you know it.
Oh, sure, at first. Because I was all alone. I was broke and I was hungry. I didn't even have a place to sleep.
That's right.
I was so down and out I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah, well, you're eating plenty good now, ain't you? You got a place to sleep. You got lots of fancy clothes. What else do you want?
I want to get away from this filthy racket of yours.
What do you mean, racket?
Yeah, racket. In the beginning, it looked as though maybe you were doing a favor to some of those poor people who didn't know how to go out and borrow from a bank or from some place legitimate. What if you did charge them 15, 20% on a loan? You were giving them a hand, helping them out, tiding them over.
That's right.
Sure. So I was glad to go out and help collect for you because I thought you were okay. And I didn't even blame you too much when you'd beat up on some of those stumblebums. Those winos who never figured on paying you back. But when you started pyramiding on them, on the people who really needed help when they couldn't pay off right away, charging them 30%, 50%, 100%. And then when you told me I had to beat up that lame kid, the newsie, because he couldn't come up with the dough.
Oh, did you? Did you rough him up and get the money out of him?
No.
Oh, I know you didn't. That's another reason I come up here, to find out why you didn't.
Because I tell you, Feathers, I'm through. I'm going on back home where I can live it decent again.
That's where you're wrong, Petey.
You can't stop me.
Can't I? Now you listen to me, Buster. And look at this.
You pull that gun on me.
Who said anything about a gun? You see this?
You and your crazy superstition.
You can call it anything you want, Petey, but when I found this rabbit foot, I found you the same day. I knew I was lucky.
You think that rabbit's foot had anything to do with it, or all those horseshoes you keep around?
I know they did.
That's superstition.
I told you call it anything you want. But they and you got me started in the big dough and ain't ever let me down, see? And they ain't going to let me down now. And that means that you are staying around with them to keep my good luck coming in.
No. Now get out of here so I can finish packing up and leave.
Now, wait a minute. Back to Kansas, huh?
Yes,
or maybe
of course.
down to the DA's office,
What?
huh? Because
Oh, wait
you've
a
got
minute.
wind that he's investigating this racket all over town. You heard about that?
No,
That's
no.
it. So maybe you thought that you'd get out by turning schooly, huh?
No, I never even thought of it.
No, but now you're thinking about it, ain't you? Oh, yeah, I can tell just by looking at that silly map of yours.
Oh, you're crazy. I'm getting out of here, and it's all right now. So if you'll just... What?
You better put down those bags, Petey.
Put away the gun, Feathers. Get out of my way.
You hear me, Buster? You're staying right here.
Feathers, you pull that trigger.
You think I wouldn't?
You pull that trigger. You kill me, Feathers, and I will come back and haunt you. I'll come back and haunt you for the rest of your days. Now, don't you forget that. Now, get out of my way.
Oh, you want it, don't you? You're really asking for it. You think maybe you could scare me, don't you? Well, you can't, because you ain't leaving here. Now, you sit down them bags, and you listen to me. You hear me set them down. Now, I warned you, Petey.
Out of my way.
Oh, no, you don't.
Swing on me again, Feathers. I bet I will. No, you won't. Oh, I might have known. That was the only kind of language a crook like you would understand.
I guess I was wrong, Petey, wasn't I, huh? Pulling this gun on you?
You were plenty wrong.
Won't you listen to me just for a minute, huh, Petey?
Sorry, I'm leaving.
You gonna turn your back on the one guy who tried to help you, Petey?
Tried to help me.
Now, you shouldn't do that, kid. You shouldn't turn your back.
So long, Feathers. Good luck.
Hold it, Pete.
You're too late.
Am I? Oh. Cross me, will you? You lousy two-bit punk.
So, figure it out, Gilroy. Either we pin this murder on Feathers Grogan, or the press and radio and all the civic groups start tearing into us again. And you know what that means. There'll be a shake-up in this police department we'll never live down. So if you want to keep on eating regular, you better get busy and slap it on them.
I know, Captain, but the only evidence we have against them is circumstantial. If it wasn't for that usury charge, we wouldn't be able to hold them at all.
Yeah, and the way these soft-hearted juries have been behaving lately, we'll be lucky if they don't let them off on probation. Oh, Gilroy, somehow we got to pin this murder on him and once and for all put him where he belongs.
But how, sir? And the only one who actually saw the murder happens to be very, very dead.
Yeah. Too bad this isn't the old days when you could beat the truth out of a punk like that.
Well, now, you're not suggesting, are you, Captain?
No, I'm not suggesting. Just keep on it, Gilroy, and keep me posted.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, Captain.
Yeah?
If you should happen to get any ideas...
Don't worry, I'll pass them on to you.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, mister. Sorry.
Quite all right. Captain Nichols?
Nichols here.
Right over there at his desk.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, okay, put them on. Well, good morning, Commissioner. How are you this morning? Yeah. Oh, well, we're making progress, sir, and we... Well, no, we haven't, but I've assigned Lieutenant Gilroy to the case, and I'm sure... Oh, yes, sir, of course I am. Yes, sir. But until some tangible evidence, Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I know, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, young man.
Captain Nichols?
Look, I'm afraid I'm pretty busy right now, so if it's something that can... Good Lord. Weldon!
Yes, sir.
Peter Weldon, but you can't be. I saw you lying there in the morgue myself. I even ordered you burial. You're dead.
Oh, no, Captain. my brother.
And we have half of this department now trying to... What was that?
It was my brother you saw.
Your brother?
Yes, sir. Peter. The one who was murdered.
Oh, brother. Oh.
Yes, sir. My name is Richard. Richard Weldon.
Yeah, I said, well, you sure gave me a shock, Mr. Weldon.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Captain.
that's all right. That's all right. But so help me, when I turned away from this phone and I saw you standing here, I... So you're, Peter Weldon's twin, huh?
No, sir. Peter was a year and a half younger, sir, but I guess we've always pretty closely resembled each other since we've grown up, I mean.
Resembled? It's uncanny. Well, I suppose you've come to see me in regard to Peter's death. Sit down, please.
Thank you. Yes, I read about it in the papers out in Chicago. That's where I live.
Well, we didn't know if any relatives, Mr. Weldon, or of course we'd have notified you.
Have you been able to find the man who killed my brother?
Well, let's say we're working on it.
Well, perhaps I can be of some help to you.
Oh? Well, just how much do you know about the case?
Well, only what I read in the papers, sir, but then I got some letters from Peter recently.
Yeah?
Yes, you see, after leaving the old farm out in Kansas after our parents died, Peter and I went to Chicago, where I live now.
Yeah?
You see, Peter had never finished his education, Captain, so he had a kind of rough time of it. I mean, one job after another and never really getting anywhere, so... Well, finally, about a year ago, he thought he'd try his luck here in this city.
I see.
Well, I didn't hear from him then until about, 3 months ago, when he wrote to me that he'd gone into partnership with a man by the name of Feathers Grogan.
Feathers? Go on, Mr. Weldon.
Well, Peter had told me very little about the sort of work they were engaged in, but, well, it wasn't very reassuring to find out they were in the money-lending business.
Business, Mr. Weldon. It was a racket, usury of the worst kind.
I suspected as much, sir. Well, anyhow, in a letter I received just a few days ago, Peter said he had found Grogan to be a crook. And so he was planning to leave him, go on back to Kansas. Before I could write to congratulate him on his decision, suggest he try again in Chicago where I could possibly help him, I read of his death. His murder.
Yeah. And, have you reached the same conclusion we have, that Feathers Grogan killed your brother?
Yes, sir. And I take it you know all about this man, Feathers.
Yeah, we sure do. He's cooling his heels downstairs in the lockup.
Then you have the evidence necessary to convict him?
Oh, no, Mr. Weldon. Instead of a murder charge, he's only being held in connection with the DA's investigation of the money-lending racket. The only evidence we have that he killed your brother is purely circumstantial. You see, Peter apparently had packed his bags and was getting ready to walk out on Grogan when Grogan intercepted him. Argued with him, and they had a fight. During that fight, Peter must have struck Feathers in the face. He still bears an identifiable mark from that old ring your brother wore.
Yes?
Well, what's more, immediately after that, a series of shots was heard. And a man answering Feathers' general description was seen leaving the place out through a back alley.
You need more than that, Captain?
Wait, Mr. Weldon. Victims of their racket have testified one after another. And there was obvious friction between them. And there's other evidence, lots of it, and it's all good. Except for one thing.
What's it?
Feathers Grogan has trumped up, or rather bought himself, an alibi that, try as we may, we simply can't break. We know it's a phony, we're sure of it, but there's no way that we can prove that.
I see.
So we're at a standstill.
At least you have him locked up, though.
And what'll happen? He'll pay a little fine, perhaps even get a short prison term for his loan shark practices, but so far as your brother's murder is concerned, he's going to get... Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Wait.
Yes, sir, yes.
Superstitious.
What?
Feathers, terribly superstitious. He literally begged to have his rabbit's foot left with him. Yeah. And he almost cried when he accidentally broke the little mirror that he shaves with there in his cell. Look, Weldon, I got an idea.
Yes, Captain.
This almost unbelievable resemblance. And I know it sounds fantastic, but it just might work.
Yeah, what is it, sir?
Look, I'm going to have him transferred right away. There's one cell down there that's completely isolated from the rest. And that's where I'll have him put, because in that particular cell, he can be watched without us knowing it. Watched and listened to. Now, if we should pick the proper time, say like at midnight, when all the ghostly, supernatural things we hear about that he believes in are supposed to happen. And if you're willing to cooperate, Mr. Weldon...
Yes, sir.
Tell me, you believe in ghosts?
What? Of course not.
Maybe you will, sir. After tonight. All right, now you have enough light in here, Brady, so we can get everything Grogan says down shorthand?
Yes, sir, Captain. Plenty of light.
Gilroy?
Tape recorder's all set, Captain. I only hope that when he wakes up, Grogan doesn't hear it. Get suspicious.
Of all the noise we've made so far hasn't even disturbed his slumbers. I think we'll be okay. What's holding up Mr. Weldon? He called me from his hotel and said he'd be here at the stroke of midnight. It's now all... Here it comes.
Yeah. But look at him, Captain, so help me. He looks more like Pete Weldon than Pete himself did before we buried him, even the clothes.
Yeah, I know. Quiet now. All right. Start the tape recorder, Gilroy.
Right, sir.
Feathers Grogan. Wake up, Feathers.
Yeah, what?
I said wake up, Feathers. Wake up.
Oh, why don't you leave me alone, huh? Will you leave me alone?
Wake up.
Getting it, Brady.
Right, sir.
Wake up and look at me, Feathers. I said look at me.
I said, why don't you guys in this dumpling... Pete Weldon.
That's right. I said I'd come back, didn't I?
No, get out of here. Go away and leave me alone. You're a ghost.
Never, Feathers. Never will I leave you alone.
Listen. You gotta listen to me, please.
It's no use, Grogan. I'll haunt you to the end of your days.
No.
Everywhere you look, you'll see me. Do you understand? Forever. Unless you tell them what you did to me.
Tell them?
Yes. Unless you tell them. Confess.
But I can't. I tell the cops how I killed you, they'll burn me for it.
That's right. Burn you. Justice.
Pete, I didn't mean to kill you. Honest, I didn't. I only wanted to scare you, Pete. I was afraid you were going to squeal to the DA so you could clear yourself when they caught up with me the way they done.
No, Feathers.
Honest, Pete, I only meant to scare you. You gotta believe me, see?
No, Feathers, that's a lie, and you know it. Because you didn't know I was planning to walk out on you. You went to my room for another reason. To kill me. So there'd be no more split of the profits. Well, didn't you?
Hadn't thought of that.
Answer me.
Could be, Captain.
Isn't that the way it really was?
Oh.
Feathers?
How did you know that?
In my present form, I know many things. Confess, Feathers, confess.
All right. That's the way I done it. That's why I killed you. So now will you leave me alone? I told you, stop haunting me this way. Will you leave me alone? Get it out of here! Somebody help! Get this thing out of here before...
Looks to me like he's passed out, Captain.
Yeah, right, Captain.
Okay. You boys have it all down?
Yes, sir. Sure have.
Yeah, me too.
All right, then come along back to my office so you can transcribe your notes, Brady, and we can thank Mr. Weldon for his pretty astonishing impersonation.
Boy, he sure did the trick. If Grogan doesn't sign this confession.
Yes, sir, Captain. In that dim light there in Grogan's cell, Mr. Richard Weldon looked so much like a ghost. He even sounded like one. Believe me.
You know, boys, I'm free to admit it almost startled me for a minute there. In spite of having planned the whole thing. I thought maybe my plan had caught up with my imagination and yours. The way that Grogan's conscience caught up with him.
Well, you're going to see the fastest confession on record.
And if he hesitates, all we have to do is play back the tape recording.
I'll say this, it'd scare me into signing almost anything.
Here we are now. You can use that typewriter in the corner, Brady.
All right, sir.
Sit down, Gilroy.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you this, sir.
Go on.
This is sure going to help to get the commissioner off our necks for a change.
Yeah. And all thanks to Mr. Richard Weldon for the way he carried off his end of things, huh? Which reminds me, I wonder what gave him the idea for the real reason Grogan killed his brother. How could he have known that, huh?
What I wonder is where he is. Do you suppose he got lost trying to find his way up here to your office?
I thought he'd be up here waiting for us. Hope he didn't just go on back to the hotel.
Maybe I'd better go downstairs and take a look for him.
Yeah, good idea. Also, maybe you better look in on Grogan and make sure he's recovered from his little fainting spell.
Yes, sir. You want me to take that?
No, I'll get it. Hold on, my Brady, will you?
Yes, sir.
Nichols here.
Captain Nichols?
Yeah?
This is Richard Weldon.
Yeah, I know. Say, where'd you go to, Mr. Weldon? We were just about to go down to look for you.
I'm sorry, Captain. I'm terribly sorry.
Sorry? Well, I certainly don't see why.
Well, I mean that I couldn't get there tonight as promised.
That you couldn't do what?
That I couldn't get down to the jail, sir. You see, as I left my hotel on the way down there, I started crossing the street, and I'm afraid I was a little careless. I got run down by a taxicab.
But, Mr. Weldon, you...
Yes, I banged up my leg a bit, and I'm calling now from my room here at Valley Hospital.
Valley Hospital?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I see.
But I'm in good hands, sir. They've taken x-rays, and I'm sure it's nothing at all serious. So, if it's all right with you, Captain, we can do the ghost act for Grogan, say, tomorrow night. Captain?
Why, that won't be necessary, Richard.
What, sir? Not necessary?
No. You see, someone else did the job for us.
Oh, now, really? You must be joking. Who could possibly have done a job like that?
Your brother, Peter.
Suspense. You've been listening to Feathers, starring Lawson Zerbe and written especially for Suspense by Jonathan Bundy. Suspense is produced and directed by Bruno Zerato Jr., music supervision by Ethel Huber. Featured in tonight's story were Ian Martin as Captain Nichols, Robert Reddick as Feathers, John Thomas as Lieutenant Gilroy, and Bill Mason as Sergeant Brady. Listen again next week when we return with 2461, written by George Bamber. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Phil Rizzuto's Sports Time scores with the fans Monday through Saturday on the CBS Radio Network.
And now, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Listen now to Breakthrough, starring Adelaide Klein and Philip Sterling, and written especially for Suspense by William N. Robeson.
Mother, hurry up. We don't have all day.
Oh, Billy, I don't know if I should leave.
Mother, you have to.
Oh, it is not easy.
Of course it isn't.
Oh, how would you know, Billy? You are young. You have your whole life ahead of you. But my life has been lived here in this flat. Your father brought me here as a bride. And there in that bedroom I had my children. And here I brought them up to be men.
Dead men.
Your brothers died for their country.
What country? For which fatherland did they spill their blood?
Oh, don't try to confuse me with politics, my son. Your brothers died, yes, but they died honorably.
It is as it may be.
Honorably. And now you are all I have left, my son. You and the memories which live with me in these rooms.
You no longer have me, Mother. Unless you come with me now.
Oh, really?
You must
please?
make your decision. I've already made mine. Martha is over there waiting for me. And the baby. They're safe.
They come first, don't they, really?
Of course they do.
They should. Go to them. That's where you belong, with them.
Now, Mother.
You go on. Be with them. I will stay here with the memories of men who cared for the old days.
Now, Mother, listen to me. Just be quiet and listen. I came back for you, didn't I? I came back last night to get you, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
And you begged me to let you spend one last night here with your memories, and I did, didn't I?
Yes, Willie.
All right. Now, understand me, Mother. I'm leaving now. I cannot risk another minute. The way things are, they may close the border any time. I cannot take any more chances. Mother, I want you to come with me. Martha wants you too. Your little granddaughter, she wants you. She needs you. We all do.
Oh.
Now, will you come?
All right, Willie.
Good.
I just have to get a few...
No, Mother, nothing. You take nothing. You'll come the way you are.
But really, they are... Aren't you even going to lock the door?
What difference does it make?
The neighborhood, it has changed so you cannot trust your neighbors anymore.
What do you care? You will never see them again.
Ah, good morning, Frau Schmidt.
Oh, Herr Weiss, good morning.
Don't stop to talk. Keep going.
Well, where are we off to so early this bright Sunday morning?
Why, church. We're going to church.
Ah, that's nice. A pious and dutiful son off to early church with his mother. Still working on the other side of the city, Willie?
You know it's forbidden.
Yes, I know. I wondered if you did.
If you'll pardon us, Herr Weiss. Get in, Mother.
Yes, indeed. Mustn't keep the pastor waiting, must we? Or vice versa, nicht?
What did he mean by that?
Who knows?
Oh, he is a godless man. He's one of them.
Don't look back, Mother. Remember what happened to Lot's wife.
Oh, really?
I will tell you when you can look back.
When, really?
When we get through the Brandenburg Gate. Then you can look back. And you can thumb your nose at them if you want to.
And you are sure I will not turn into a pillar of salt?
I guarantee it.
Where are we now, Willie?
Friedrichstrasse.
Oh, it has been such a long time since I have been downtown.
Oh, they haven't rebuilt it much. I don't think they ever will. But wait until you see the other side. Oh, just wait. It's a whole new city. A shiny new city.
The Unter den Linden. It was Weidewan for, so it seemed when I was a girl.
Here's the Brandenburg Gate up ahead. It probably looks the same, huh?
Not quite. There was no barbed wire or soldiers.
Barbed wire? And the barricade. We're too late.
Oh, a soldier. He's pointing his gun, Willie. He's motioning you to stop.
Halt! What is this?
The gate is closed.
Closed?
As you can see.
Why?
Orders.
But I've got to get through. My wife and baby are over there.
I cannot help you.
Look, I took them over 2 days ago. Then I came back from my mother here.
That's just the trouble. People like you, hundreds of you, thousands, going over to the west and not coming back. Well, not any longer. Nobody goes, nobody comes. The wife and kids stay there. You stay here.
Would you care to bet on that?
This gun says you stay.
You would shoot a countryman?
If he doesn't obey orders.
What kind of a German are you?
A citizen of the Deutsches Demokratische Republik.
Stooge. A communist stooge.
Jimmy, be careful.
Take him out of here, lady, before I shoot him.
Swine.
I'm warning you. You better turn around and go back.
Come, Willie.
Don't you understand what this means, Mother? They're closing the sector. They're splitting the city in two. We are trapped here. Oh, I'll never get back to Martha and the baby. If only you had come with me last night.
I'm sorry, Willie. And you are right. Just because I am a silly, sentimental old fool. Well, let me try. Herr Polizei.
What are you going to do?
I am going to talk to this policeman.
Peter?
We must get across to West Berlin. You will please let us by.
I'm afraid that's impossible.
My son here has already taken his wife and little baby across. They are waiting for him at Marienfelder. He only came back to fetch me.
You shouldn't tell me these things.
Why not?
You are implicating your son. I could arrest him for aiding the escape of our people.
Your people, you don't own us. Your Communist Party doesn't own us. We're free people.
I could also shoot him for an enemy of the state, and I might, if you don't get him out of here.
But we want to get out. We want to cross over. Oh, we must. Here, I will give you money. It is not much, but I will...
Bitte, gnädige Frau, don't try to bribe me. It is a crime for which I can arrest you.
But you wouldn't arrest him.
Werner! Achtung!
Jawohl, Heinz. Was ist los?
Running from the gate! That old man! He refuses to halt!
You there! Halt! Halt, I say!
Or I fire! Yes! I will Oh, you shot him. Freedom, he shouted. Everything for freedom. And you shot him.
I have my orders.
Yeah, so I see. Come, Willie. Let us do as this man says. Turn the car around and let us go home.
Mother.
Hurry, before he changes his mind.
Heinz?
Jawohl, Werner.
Lend me your motorcycle.
Oh, take it.
You stand by here.
Where are you going?
After that car. I think we should know more about these people.
So soon?
Oh, Herr Weiss.
Pastor didn't have much to say this morning.
No, it was a short service.
Ah, all the better. It gives you more time to enjoy the fine weather. Take a drive over to West Berlin, maybe.
Why do you say that?
Oh, no reason. But there are some lovely places to drive in West Berlin. The Wannsee, the Zahlendorf.
Willie, please, help me up to the apartment, yes?
What's the matter with her?
She's upset.
Something the pastor said?
No, something you communists did.
You should be more careful,
Come, Mother.
my boy.
Come, Mother.
I'm sorry, Willie. Very sorry.
No, Mother.
I did not know. I did not realize how bad it was. I did not think they would really close us off.
It's all right, Mother. We have to try to find another way.
How, Willie? They will shoot you. They will shoot you down like they did that poor man. And all he wanted was freedom. The door is unlocked.
Yes, we left it that way.
Oh.
Don't you remember? We were never coming back.
Oh, Willie. Please forgive me.
All right, Mother, I forgive you.
I don't.
What are you doing here?
Where were you last night?
Willie, who is
Excuse
this
me,
man?
Mother. This is Carl Dietrich. My mother, Carl.
Frau Schmidt?
I am glad to meet you, Carl.
Carl's a friend of mine. We worked together at the office. I promised to pick him up last night and drive him over to West Berlin.
Yeah, what happened to you?
Well,
Carl, I will tell you what happened. I would not leave, and he would not go without me. It was my fault, and I am sorry.
Well, there's no use crying about it now.
I thought you would go all across the line when I didn't show up.
Well, I tried to, but it was too late. At midnight, they were already stringing by at the Brandenburg Gate. I tried Bernauer Strasse. They were starting to build a wall.
Wall?
Big concrete slabs.
Lieber Gott.
Everywhere along the line there were Vopos with Sten guns.
I know. We saw them use one. How about the Tetloff Canal?
At 3 o'clock this morning, they were as thick as frogs along the canal. Oh, they mean business this time, Willie.
They warned us. You can't say they didn't warn us, and we were fools enough to let ourselves get caught.
We're not caught yet, but I nearly was.
Where?
When I realized I couldn't get across the line, I went back home. And guess what?
Vopos? What else?
That's right, waiting for me outside the building. I got away as fast as I could, and I came here. It's the only place I could go. The door was open.
It's all right. Did anyone see you come in?
There was a fat man sitting on the stoop next door.
Oh, he would be.
Willie,
Yes, Mother.
come to the window.
What is it, Mother?
Look down there. That Polizei. He just rode off on a motorcycle.
It's the same one who stopped us at the gate.
He's asking Herr Weiss something. Herr Weiss is pointing up here.
Stand back from the window. He will see us.
Who is that fat one? The neighborhood informer?
That's about it.
The Polizei, he's coming up here. Willie, we must do something.
What can we do? He's got a gun.
And I've got a knife.
No, Carl.
Yes, Carl. Use it. Kill him as he killed that poor man out in the square.
Mother.
Yes, I mean it, Willie. Oh, you are shocked to hear such words from your mother? I am shocked to say them. They come strange and bitter on my tongue, but they must be said. I did not know before, but I know now, hearing you talk, seeing them kill. The guilt belongs to all of us, for it is the times we live in that make us murderers. Yes, Carl, use the knife.
I'll get behind the door.
You two, Willie, out of sight. Just a minute, I am coming. Yes?
You are the Frau Schmidt?
Yes?
You recognize me?
Why, I do not think so. My acquaintance among the Polizei is very limited.
I stopped your car on the Unter den Linden a half an hour ago.
Oh, yes. And you shot a man.
I was only doing my duty.
Oh, I am sure of that. What do you want here?
I want to talk to you and your son. Where is he?
In the back room. What do you want with us?
Your identity cards. I want to see them.
Oh, come in, please. For Freiheit.
For freedom! He's dead.
He is dead.
Good.
Mother.
No, Willie. We were right to kill him. Usually we Germans are wrong. We listen to the wrong people. And like dumb animals, we do what they tell us to do. When we kill the wrong people for the wrong reasons. But this time, we were right.
Mother, I don't know you. You're like a stranger to me.
Am I really? Am I my son? Yeah, I suppose I am. Oh, I have been asleep for such a very long time. A long time. But once I was awake. There was a time when I stood up against the world and said what I thought. I guess maybe that is why your gentle father fell in love with me. But I soon learned that in Germany you could not have an opinion and also have your freedom. So, for the sake of my husband and my children, I gave up having opinions. I did not know that I was giving up freedom, too. They have an opinion for you. They feed them to you like pretty little sleeping pills. The Fuhrer, Ulbricht, what difference does it make? They keep you half asleep with their manufactured opinions. But this morning I woke up when I saw that man die for freedom. Does it shock you, my son?
No. Mother, but...
Really, give me a hand here.
What are you doing?
Trying to relieve this corpse of his uniform.
You have a plan.
Fear someone should. Yes, I have a plan.
What is it?
A Volkspolizei came up to this flat. A Volkspolizei will leave it if he can get into this uniform. And he will have under arrest Frau Schmidt and her son.
Gut, ganz gut.
You will get into the car and drive off escorted by the same Volkspolizei and apparently under his gun.
But why go to the trouble of this masquerade? Why don't the three of us just go down the stairs and drive off?
Forget your neighbors, the informer.
Yes, you're right.
And a uniformed escort just might be able to get you across the line to West Berlin.
Where?
I think we'll try the Friedrichstrasse checkpoint this time. There. Remarkably good fit, don't you think?
Like it was made for you.
Frau Schmidt?
I am ready, Karl.
Remember, you are my prisoner. Just do as I tell you. And pray your neighbor doesn't recognize me.
This time, Willie, lock it.
Why, Mother?
We do not want our guest to be found too soon.
That is right.
Well, what is this? What is the trouble, Frau Schmidt?
You should know. You told him where we live.
He asked. I had to. It was my duty.
Get in the car. Lady sits in the back. You drive.
Is there anything I can do?
You have done enough already, have I? Quite enough.
I was not talking to you, Frau Schmidt. What else can I do to serve you, Herr Polizei?
Keep your eye on my motorbike. Stand guard until I come back for it. Do not leave for a minute.
Jawohl, Herr Polizei.
All right, let's get out of here.
Oh, just a minute, Herr Polizei.
Yeah, what is it?
There was another one.
Another one?
Yeah. Before Frau Schmidt and her son came back, a young fellow asked for them and then went up to their apartment. Yes, where is he?
I did not see anyone else.
But he has got to be there. I saw him go up. I did not see him come down.
Well, I did not see him. Come on, Willie, let's get out of here.
Hey, wait a minute. He must be... Wait a minute! You are not the Polizei. You are that same fellow. But if you are not the Polizei, where is the Polizei? Where is he? What have you done with him? What have you done with him?
Friedrichstrasse checkpoint coming up.
Herrgott, look at the wall they have built already.
But there is still an opening. A sort of gateway with barbed wire stuffed into it. What do we do now, Carl?
Keep going until they stop us. Then I don't know. I'll play it by ear. Try to bluff us through. Are you with me?
Yes, I...
To the end.
Don't say it that way, Mother. It sounds so final.
It is, my son.
Slow down, Willie. There's the Bopo flagging us.
Huh? What's the matter with you? Can't you read? Don't you see the signs? Street is closed.
I'm sorry, officer. I was just doing what this officer here told me to do.
Huh? Oh, I didn't see you.
I have orders to escort these people across the line and deliver them in West Berlin.
Let me see the orders.
They are verbal orders. You see, this is a top-secret mission. These are very important people.
Who issued these orders?
The Oberleutnant.
What Kaserne are you?
Johannisthal.
Then you should recognize your comrades. These are the men of Johannesburg on duty here.
Why, so they are.
And there's the Oberleutnant. You won't mind if he repeats these verbal orders to me, will you? Herr Oberleutnant, come into here, bitte.
All right, Billy, let's get out of here. Don't you think they'll crash the gate?
That's right, Billy. Don't go back. Go ahead. Crash the gate.
But there's wires there.
Oh, if break through it, there's no one back down there.
They're shooting at us. Get down, Mother. Going, Billy.
Send it straight on.
Holy Toledo, what a crash.
The car's catching fire.
Come on, you guys, on the double. Let's get them out of there. Come on.
Take it easy, man. We're going to be all right. Mother. My mother. She didn't make it. And the Carl? You mean the other guy? Well, he didn't make it either. But you made it. You're a free man now.
You're a free man. A free man.
Suspense. You've been listening to Breakthrough, starring Adelaide Klein and Philip Sterling, and written especially for Suspense by William N. Robeson. In a moment, a word about next week's story of Suspense.
Fact or fiction? NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, is run by a civilian agency? It's a fact. NATO's top policy-making body is the North Atlantic Council, made up of foreign, defense, and finance ministers, plus a permanent representative with the rank of ambassador. NATO's main goal is the preservation of peace.
Suspense is produced and directed by Bruno Zerato Jr. Music supervision by Ethel Huber. Featured in tonight's story were Bob Dryden as Vice, Danny Acco as First Vopo, Alan Manson as Carl, Louis Van Ruten as Third Vopo, Guy Rett as Second Vopo, Doug Parkhurst as the GI, and Sam Raskin as the escapee. Listen again next week when we return with Feathers, written by Jonathan Bundy, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Suspense has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
And now,
A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I only ask the place and time enough to give some small meaning to the meaningless and point to having lived.
Listen now to 2462, starring Lawson Zerbe, and written especially for Suspense by George Bamber.
I woke up on the floor, shivering. All my clothes were gone. It was like a nightmare I had dreamed many times before and dreaded coming true. At first, I thought I'd awakened in my own room, that somebody had taken all my furniture as well as my clothes. But then I realized it wasn't so much a room as it was a cube. An empty, sterile cube with luminescent walls that hummed with a soft blue-green light. I jumped up then and threw myself against the walls trying to find a way out. And there was none. No door, no window, not even a ventilation tube. I banged on the walls and screamed, but no one answered me. Nothing but the smooth plastic blue-green walls that hummed with the electric current in them, that gave them light and air and death. I slumped back down to the soft foam plastic floor of my cell, afraid to admit to myself where I was, and squeezed my eyes tight against the walls because I was afraid I was going to cry. Just then, the wall in front of me slid back on its tracks, and in the pale light of the corridor, I could see a large, shambling man in prison coveralls with a 9-digit number tattooed on his forehead. What do you want?
Follow me.
He turned his back on me and stepped on the moving conveyor in the corridor. I stumbled after him because I was afraid to be alone. And I had to know what was happening. Where are you taking me?
No talk. Follow me.
I could tell by the steady movement of his jaw and the dull, faraway look on his face that I could question him all day, and it wouldn't do any good. He was chewing Tranquil gum, and the effect of that stuff lasts for a week. I could scream at him, and it wouldn't bother him. Nothing would bother him unless I tried to escape. I knew where I was now. There could be no doubt of that. I rode behind my silent guard, up and down what seemed like endless corridors, past row on row of cells just like the one I had left. Some of them had their reverse scanners on. That means you could see in, but the prisoners couldn't see out. Some of them were sitting in the middle of their cube, staring at nothingness. But most of them were slumped on the floor, asleep, kept that way by somnogas, a gentle gas that kept the inmates unconscious and manageable until their cases came up. I knew one day I would wind up here. And here I was in the most scientific escape-proof termination center in the world.
In here.
The guards stepped off the conveyor in front of a heavy chrome door marked courtroom and pushed a button. I moved through the doorway like a schoolboy called upon to recite. The room was not much bigger than the cell I had left, and as empty. A lieutenant sat behind a desk. His plastic bars gleamed at me brightly from his shoulders. I heard my guard close the door behind us, and then I noticed that one wall was completely covered with the sleepy face of a computer.
Sit down. Sit down.
I did as I was told on the only other piece of furniture in the place, a small 3-legged stool in the middle of the room. I wished that they had given me some sort of clothes to cover my nakedness because there was a young girl, a secretary, sitting on an electro-writer, taking down everything that was said, feeding it into the computer.
Your identity.
Frank Smith.
I said your identity.
I told you, sir.
Do not hold up the proceedings. Time is precious. You were issued a combination serial, social security, and telephone number that was imprinted on your forehead at birth. From here, it appears to be 108-303-715. Is that correct?
That is the number tattooed on my head.
Clerk, let the record show the subject is hostile.
Yes, sir.
Let us proceed. Case of the People versus 108-303-715. Convened in the first court at 1800 hours in this day of our world, 18 of November, 2462. 108-303-715, you are charged with 2 counts. 1, writing non-productive literature, and 2, wasting government time. How do you plead, true or false?
I don't understand.
Have you or have you not written poetry?
I'm a clerk in the Space Department.
True or false?
False.
I have here some 100 pieces of doggerel. I shall read a portion of one. See if you recognize it. In my treeless, greenless office, mid the bustling mad despair, I hunger after exile from the chrome and filtered air. Well,
it's not a very good poem, is it?
did you or did you not write this poem? True or false?
I hardly see
Answer, true or false?
False.
Account, then, for the fact that this poem was written on your electro typewriter.
There are millions of electro writers.
As you may or may not know, each electro writer has its own characteristics, as individual as fingerprints. An expert has identified this poem as coming from your machine. I can call him in to testify if you like.
There are 2 ships. I'm not the only one assigned to that machine.
You are not only a poet, but you are a very stupid one. Every electro writer imprints the date and hour of transmission. In every case, the poems were written on your machine, while you were supposed to be sitting at it doing the invaluable work of the Space Department. What have you to say?
What can I say?
You are charged with 2 very grave counts in this court: writing non-productive literature and wasting government time. How do you answer?
How else can I answer? Guilty.
108-303-715. You insist on imposing on this court concepts of legality as ancient as 1962. In this court, subjects are neither guilty nor not guilty. They are simply productive or non-productive, social or antisocial. I repeat, are these charges against you true or false? Answer one or the other.
False.
Very well. Clerk,
Yes, sir.
signal the judicial computer that all facts and considerations of this court are now at hand, and submit the subject's work record, fitness report, sanity estimation, IQ, cooperation quotient.
I watched, like a sleepwalker, as the lieutenant handled the thin, punched, and tabulated cards that were the history of my life. I watched with a gambler's fascination as one by one she fitted them into the monster's mouth, and the lights blinked and flitted across its face, digesting my life and worth on Earth, and estimating in hours and minutes how much longer I would be permitted to stay. Suddenly, I realized the computer had stopped. The lights across its face were dark. The machine's mouth spat out a thin red plastic card, and the girl handed it to the lieutenant.
Number 108-303-715. It is the decision of this court that you are no longer essential or desirable to life on this earth.
What?
On the 343rd day of the year 2462, you will be taken from your cell to the Division of Agriculture for processing.
No.
Your corporal body will be reduced to its basic components.
Oh, no.
And your existence on Earth will be terminated.
No! Oh, no, no, no! No, in God's name, give me another chance.
It is the decision of this court.
You can't condemn a man to die just for writing a few lines of poetry.
Not for writing a few lines of poetry, for being a poet. If you were a scientist or an engineer, we could afford to overlook these recessive characteristics in your personality. Forgive the writing of a few lines of doggerel. But you are not a scientist or engineer or even a mathematician. You're a clerk in the Space Department. And according to your work record, not very good at that.
I have no head for figures.
At a time when the world is crying out in need of mechanical and technical brains, the best you're suited for is rhyming lists of words on scraps of paper. Can you possibly imagine that in our society we could
looking at the young man who was a lieutenant, saw his eyes on me, his lips move, but no sound came out. Everything he said was true. The world was in trouble. 300, 400 years ago, they thought they were having a population explosion. They should see it now. People live as far beneath the ground as they did above. New York was built out 30 miles over the water, and people commuted to work from as far away as Ohio and Michigan. Even the deserts were populated. It took mathematical and technical brains just to keep it all going, not to mention the problem of finding new worlds in space.
It must be apparent that even if you had some mechanical ability for the service and repair of computers, machines...
I could try to learn.
But you have no mechanical ability. Your aptitude tests show that.
Well, just give me a chance to learn.
There is no time. The world needs these talents now, not a year from now, months from now.
Well, all I want is to live.
We all want to live. That's the whole problem. The function of this court is to weed out the people who are not necessary to the continuation of life from those who are. Artists, philosophers, theologians, and poets are not necessary. You have been found to be a poet.
I appeal to the mercy of the court.
There is no mercy in a mathematical equation.
Well, give me another chance, just one.
Number 108-303-715. You are wasting the court's time. I have many more cases to deal with today. As you stand now, you are a drain on the Earth's natural resources. In exactly 20 days from now, you will contribute to them. Case dismissed.
Look, I have one favor to ask. Everyone has granted one last request.
What is it?
I have the right, do I not, to spend my remaining days conscious?
Yes, but you should request semi-gas. Time goes much faster when you're asleep, and then the end is not so painful.
I want to spend my last days conscious.
Conscious? Why?
So I can write.
Right?
Yes, write. I wouldn't have to have an electro-writer in my cell. Just an asthmatic pen would do. I know how to use a pen and some paper. I know you have no power over the decision of the court, but just this one last request is one man to another.
Very well. Orders will be left that a pen and paper are to be placed at your disposal.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
No more can be granted than the law allows. You may spend your remaining days on Earth conscious and writing gibberish or poems or whatever you wish. Next case.
I had to bite my tongue to keep from shouting and turning handsprings all the way back to my cell. I had won the right to remain conscious during my last days on Earth. The right to have one more chance at life and freedom. I realized fully how small that chance was. In the days when men still believed that crime was cured by punishment, my cell would have been a jailer's dream. The smooth plastic walls were flawless. I searched the whole cube and found no more than the first time I saw them, not even the little pinholes that admitted the gas that finished you. I had hoped to dig under the soft foam rubber plastic on the floor with the point of my pen, but I dug at it and couldn't even scratch it. For what must have been 5 days, I studied the prison routine in hopes of jamming the door and overpowering one of the guards. But it was impossible. Once a day, the wall was rolled back and food was tossed in, wrapped in electroethylene, and then rolled back again before you could get to them. It was impossible to wait near the wall because the guards could see you waiting there and would not open it until you were well back in the center of the cell. On what must have been the 10th day, I began to have hallucinations. People began to appear in my cell and chat with me. People who had long since been dead. To stave off madness, I picked up the broken stub of my pen and began to write feverishly. I wrote a poem to the girl I had seen once when I was 14. And then I wrote about the last blade of grass I had seen. I wrote faster and faster until I was completely wrapped up in the joy of writing. Writing about all the things I could remember. Until I lost all track of time, of place, and then... Oh, no. No, it isn't time. I still have 20 days left. Oh, 20 days, he said.
Quiet, son. You still have 2 days to go.
What do you want?
To talk. Mind if I come in?
It's your prison. He didn't come all the way in, but stood in the door, out of sight, off the hall, but blocking my way. He was a very old man with mottled parchment skin. His prison coveralls hung on him like elephant skin. Oh, who are you?
I'm the night duty guard.
What do you want?
Oh, just to talk.
I've never seen you before.
Oh, but I've seen you. Every night I've been looking over your shoulder, reading the things you write.
I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I did. I haven't read any new poetry in 50 years, since the computers came in. You've got away with words.
Thank you, sir.
That's all right. There's one poem you wrote night before last. I wonder if I could see it again.
Which one, sir?
The one about a man's going to die and doesn't know why.
Oh. You mean this one?
Yes. Yes, that's the one. Would you mind reading it for me? My eyes tire easily.
Okay. In the monumental silence of a long and pointless strife, I'm pained at my reluctance to let go this last of life. I only asked the place and time enough to give some small meaning to the meaningless and point to having lived.
Yes, I like that. How would you like to get out of here?
Are you crazy?
No.
Nobody leaves here alive.
Guards do.
But I'm not a guard.
You could be.
Oh, now I know you're crazy.
You could be if you put on my clothes, my uniform.
That wouldn't do any good. They'd still recognize me by the number on my forehead.
That's what gave me the idea. Look at your number and look at mine.
108-808-715.
Only the 8s are different. Yes. We could take that pen of yours and make your 3s look like 8s.
But you're an old man. I'm young. They'd recognize the difference immediately.
No, they wouldn't. The only one who sees me is the guard that relieves me, and he's unhappy, Gum. The only thing he looks at is my number. As long as that's right, he's happy. He couldn't tell you what I looked like if his life depended on it.
But why?
I don't know why. Maybe I just like poetry. Maybe it's because I'm going to die anyway. Look at me. I'm 110. Yesterday, I read where they're going to start eliminating everybody over 102. It'll probably be law before the year is out.
But that's still a year to live, maybe more.
A year of what? I can't smell anymore. My taste buds are gone. My hands and feet are always cold.
That's not the real reason, is it?
No. No, it isn't.
Then what is?
I have a granddaughter about your age. Beautiful girl. She used to write and paint some when she was young. Of course, we had to discourage it after the computers came in. You know, it just would make me feel good to know they hadn't stamped out the genes for poetry completely. I hate to live in a world where you don't get anything more than what comes blasting in at you over the telecommunicator. Well, what do you say? Are you willing?
I'm willing, if you are.
Oh, good. Now, listen carefully.
He sat up most of the night, explaining his job to me, cross-questioning me to be sure I remembered it right. His job was simple, mostly just pushing buttons. The difficult part would be finding my way out of the huge prison without looking like I was groping and getting off the overhead rail at the right stop to find his daughter's home. Finally, when he was convinced I had it right, he left, promising to change places with me the following night. I was almost afraid to believe him. The hours of what was to be my final night on Earth crept by. The day had been bad enough, but the night was worse. 100 times I decided the night was over, that it had all just been a sadistic trick by the old man so he could watch the agony of my final hours on Earth to pass the time. I was just about to beat against the walls and scream when...
Quickly, help me out of these coveralls.
I thought you wouldn't come.
I had to wait till just before the end of the watch so you'd have the best chance of escaping.
How much time do I have left?
About 20 minutes. The day guard will be coming to relieve me soon, so hurry, will you? Where's your pen?
Here it is.
Hold your head still while I change these 3s to 8s.
All right.
Yeah. Remember, stay on the overhead rail until you get out of Arizona. My daughter is the next stop after that.
Okay.
There, you're finished. Goodbye.
I don't want to say...
Don't say anything. Say goodbye before I change my mind. At best, courage is a quicksilver thing.
Goodbye, old man. And thanks.
Quick, close the door.
I did as I was told, raising my hand to break the circuit. And I watched the old man smile at me at the control board and take up his position in front of it. The clock on the board said 10 minutes to 5 in the morning. 10 minutes before I would be released.
How's it going?
Huh?
I said, how's it going? Everything quiet?
Fine. I recognized him as the guard that was supposed to relieve the old man. For a minute, I was afraid he recognized me when his eyes drifted across my face. But then they flicked up to my forehead, checked my serial number, and he resumed his steady, quiet chewing.
I came in a little early. You can never tell about the overhead rail when it's going to get jammed up.
Yes, I know. Things are a mess. What's that?
Trouble in cell number 84. See the flashing light on the board?
Yes, I better turn it off. Cell 84. That was my cell, the one I just left. That meant the old man was probably banging on the walls.
I see cell 84 is scheduled for termination this morning. Probably lost his nerve. They should make them all stay under Sami gas while they're here. Makes them easier to handle that way.
I can't turn the alarm off.
Of course you can't, as long as he's hammering on the walls and screaming that way. You better go down, see what he wants.
Do I have to?
Of course you do. It's the law. He might have something more he wants to say.
I walked down the hall, feeling the guard's eyes on my back. I didn't dare argue with him anymore for fear that he would become concerned. It was all over now. I knew it was all over. I could see the old man beating on the walls of his cell beyond the transparent plastic wall, screaming soundlessly. He had changed his mind. He wanted to live. In a minute, he would be running down the hall, shouting for help. And in 2 hours, I would be dead. I raised my hand to break the electric circuit.
Oh, there you are. I was afraid you wouldn't come back. You took the poems with you, and I couldn't remember that one. All I can remember is I only ask the place. I can't remember how it ends.
I only ask the place and time enough to give some small meaning to the meaningless and point to having lived.
Yes. That's it. And point to having lived.
Suspense. You've been listening to 2462, starring Lawson Zerbe, and written especially for Suspense by George Bamber. Suspense is produced and directed by Bruno Zerato Jr., music supervision by Ethel Huber. Featured in tonight's story were Robert Randall as the lieutenant, Bob Dryden as the old guard, William Mason as the young guard, and Rosemary Rice as the court stenographer. Listen again next week when we return with Please Believe Me, written by Ben Kagan. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. They're the most. Bing Crosby and Rosemary Clooney weekdays on the CBS Radio Network.
And now, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Listen now to Please Believe Me, starring Joan Loring and Robert Reddick, and written especially for Suspense by Ben Kagan.
Well, there it is.
Oh.
Your new home, Mrs. Cooper. Furnished by Louis the First. That's when he comes around for the rent.
Oh, Tony. Oh, Tony, it's charming.
I'll bet you say that to all your new husbands.
No, I mean it, Tony. It's so casual. Bohemian.
Yes, it could use a cleaning.
Oh, silly. I didn't mean that.
Well, anyway, you'll find it all very compact. Living room, bedroom, kitchen.
It's exactly as I imagined it would be. Easel, paints, and brushes. Large window. Oh, Tony, I still can't believe it's true. Just think, if I hadn't gone to that exhibit 3 weeks ago, and if it hadn't rained that afternoon, we would never have met.
Probably not.
3 weeks. Is it possible I've known you only 3 weeks, darling? Does it seem possible that 3 weeks ago we were total strangers?
Well, it's this new atomic age, my dear. Jet propulsion. In 3 weeks, you can go around the world twice, make $1 million.
That's what I tried to tell the family, but... Oh, you know how families are, especially if they happen to have been born and bred in New England.
Julia, they hate me, don't they?
Oh.
They think you've made a terrible mistake.
Of course they don't. Well, they only said we should have waited, that I should have found out more about you, but, oh, Tony, they'll come around.
Really? When?
In time. I promise, Tony. They're really very nice underneath.
Yes, you're in the mood for excavating.
That's not fair. They have a point of view as well, Tony.
Oh, now I'm sorry, darling. I didn't mean that. Please believe me. I realize what a shock it must have been when you told them you were marrying a struggling artist without a family tree. They probably think I'm a long-haired anarchist with a bomb in one hand and a dagger in the other.
Oh.
Ready to take advantage of their unspoiled, unsophisticated project.
That's not a bit funny.
Then I'm sorry again. Cigarette?
Thanks. Tony, why did you marry me?
Yeah, I told you, Julia, I needed a model who wouldn't charge by the hour.
I know I've asked you this question before, but I'd still like to be sure. I'm going to be frank, Tony, with both you and myself. I know you didn't marry me for my accomplishments. I'm just an ordinary girl with a mediocre mind.
Now, Julia, please.
Well, it's true, Tony. I know, too, that you didn't marry me for my beauty. I'm fully aware of the fact that I'm quite plain. Some have even said homely.
Oh, now, Julia, stop that.
But you're handsome, suave, you're sure of yourself. We just don't match up. Why did you do it, Tony? Tell me.
Well, if you must know, my dear, I married you for your money. That annuity that you told me you had. If anything should ever happen to you, I'd be secure for life.
Oh.
Now, darling, don't tell me you took that seriously.
Of course not, darling. I'd like to see the rest of the apartment.
No, that's all there is, remember, except for the view, of course. You can look over the entire city. Come here, I'll show it to you.
No, I'm afraid of height, Tony, please.
Well, you'll have to get used to it. Unless you want to keep the shades drawn all day. Come on now, just take a peek. I'll hold on to you.
No, Tony, I'm afraid
Now, don't be silly. That's nothing but a state of mind. Now, Julia, you'll have to get rid of this morbid fear. And the best way to get rid of it is to take the plunge. Come on, Julia, just one more step. Just one more.
Tony! Oh, Tony.
Darling, you must be careful. You tripped over the rug.
Yes. It was clumsy of me, wasn't it? I'm ready, Tony.
That's good.
Tony, I'm leaving.
Oh? Well, have a nice time, Julia.
You sure you won't change your mind?
About what?
I'd like you to come with me.
No, thanks.
But they'll think it's funny, my going up alone.
Julia, you know very well they won't think anything of the kind. They don't want to see me any more than I want to see them. Besides, I hate Connecticut weekends, especially with your family.
But they're my parents, Tony. I mean, I haven't seen them in over 2 months. Oh, Tony, what will you do while I'm gone?
Well, I don't know. Work maybe, or sit in the park, or get drunk.
Oh.
I'll give you a full report, providing you do the same.
Tony, I wish you wouldn't carry on like that. I wish you wouldn't make everything so unpleasant.
No, I didn't realize that you were so unhappy.
What's happened to us, Tony? Ever since that first day, we've been bickering over the most trivial things.
I'm glad you consider them trivial.
But they are. I don't even remember what most of them were. If you really loved me...
You don't believe that either, huh?
I don't know what to believe. You are so moody, so unpredictable.
Julia, I cannot change myself any more than you can change yourself. That's the way I am. That's the way you'll have to take me.
I know, and I want to, except that there's something that I can't get out of my mind. Something you said that first day. No, never mind. Forget it. We'll talk about it some other time.
No, why not now? Why not get it settled and done with?
No, I'm late.
Julia, you have over an hour. Now, what were you about to tell me?
Nothing. Oh, Tony, I must go. I'll have to find a taxi.
Julia, you are evading the issue.
No, Tony. You're hurting me. Let me go. I'm sorry you did that, Tony. I'm very sorry. For you. Tony, I'm back. Oh, darling. I could hardly wait for the weekend to be over. I counted the days. Then I counted the hours and then the minutes. The house was full of all kinds of people, but I felt so lonely I thought I'd die. Did you miss me, Tony? Was it terrible for you?
Yes. Terrible.
I'm glad. I'll never leave you again. I couldn't bear it. What did you do while I was away? Did you... Tony, you've been drinking.
What if I have? Any objections? Do you disapprove?
No, Well, I better put my things away and start preparing.
Well, just a minute. You haven't told me. What did you do, Julia?
Oh, I sat mostly. Talked.
Oh, really? About me?
Yes.
Then what happened? Did they try to make you leave me?
Of course.
Julia, I want the truth. What did you tell them? That I hadn't sold anything in over a year and that you were supporting me?
No.
That I drank too much? Found all kinds of excuses for not getting to work?
Tony, I didn't. You know I didn't.
Who was there besides your parents? Where did you go? Whom?
What?
I want all the details, Julia. I want a full report.
Tony, stop that. You're spoiling everything.
Am I? Still being childish, I suppose?
No. Now you're being despicable.
Oh, that's a very self-righteous, very virtuous attitude. A perfect cover-up for present and future extramarital...
Tony, if you say another word, I'll...
Oh, it hurts, doesn't it? Julia, dear. The truth always hurts.
What?
Now, come on, darling. I'm interested. I'd like to know how they make love in Connecticut.
What?
I'd like to find out if it's more romantic than in a New York studio.
Tony, why are you doing this to me?
Don't you know why? Or is it that you think I'm a stupid, unseeing cuckold, a long-haired, impractical bohemian who is unaware of anything going on around him?
What are you...
Perhaps you believe that you can buy me with your annuity. That I'll only be too happy to look the other way so long as you pay me regularly.
You are a louse, Tony. You'd go to any length.
Yes, to any length. Even to opening one of your letters.
What?
Came for you last Friday. Maybe it was Saturday.
Where?
It's from Jim Copeland. Shall I read it to you?
No.
Well, why not? It's so beautiful, so touching, so full of sense.
How dare you open my mail? How dare you?
Well, I had a lot of time on my hands, Julia. Time and devouring curiosity. Now, it's a perfect combination, I'm sure you'll admit. For 24 hours, it lay on that table, propped against the lamp, flirting with me, imploring me to look inside. And as you see, the results were gratifying.
You are a fool. Jim Copeland is an old friend. He's nothing more than a friend. He means nothing to me.
Oh, but you mean so much to him, darling, so much that he dropped everything, some very pressing business, just to be able to spend the weekend with you in Connecticut. Isn't that right?
Mother told him I was coming up. I had nothing to do with it.
Did Mother also tell him to address you as darling, Julia? Did she tell him to write that he's still very fond of you, and if you should ever change your mind, he'll be there, waiting?
Oh,
Was it your mother who met him for cocktails last week, or was it you? Well, answer me.
Tony, you're twisting everything.
Oh, I am twisting.
Yes.
Well, look at it. Because it's right here in black and white in his own meticulous handwriting.
No, Tony, it doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't it?
No.
I want the truth, Julia. I am sick of your evasions.
And I am sick of you. I'm sick of everything. I won't put up with it. I won't have you spying on me. I won't.
Julia, where are you going?
Leave me alone.
Now, Julia, listen to me. Now, I admit that I jumped to conclusions. That's why I've been acting strange. But there's a reason for it. Now, please, believe me. I can't seem to get to work. I've been accepting your money.
Oh.
I keep thinking about that constantly.
But you shouldn't. Tony, I don't mind.
I know. You're sweet and you're generous, but I would like to do something for you for a change. I'd like to take you out of here, give you the things you want, buy them with my own money.
Tony, I don't care about that. It doesn't matter.
No, but it does to me. But it'll be different from now on. Please believe me, Julia. I'll get to work. I'll start on your portrait tomorrow.
Oh, Tony, if you only would.
I promise, Julia, tomorrow without fail. Now, you just sit down and let me get you something. You must be starved. I know I am.
I'll fix lunch.
No. Now, you sit right here and relax.
All right, Tony, if you insist, but what's wrong with this chair, Tony? One of the springs must... Oh, it's a book.
Give that to me, Julian.
What is it?
Well, it's just something that I've been reading. It's not important. Give it to me.
Wait a minute, Tony. This is a book on poison.
Yes. I picked it up in a second-hand bookstore to pass the time. Now, Julia, you put it away and relax. Because everything is going to be all right from now on.
I must find out. I must call the pharmacy. Prescription number is on the bottle. Oh, why don't they answer? Why don't they... Hello? May I speak to the man in charge of prescriptions, please? Yes, well, I'd like to find out about a prescription you filled for me yesterday. My husband picked it up. Julia Cooper. Oh, the number, yes, it's 8472. Yeah, Dr. Bierman. Yes, well, I'd like to find out what the ingredients are. It's supposed to be a sedative, but I feel very weak. And well, 6 pills since last night. Yes, would you please? And hurry. Oh, Tony will be back soon. He'll walk in any minute. Oh, I wish he'd hurry. I wish that man would hurry. I can't stay. Hello? Are you sure? No, are you sure? It isn't poison. All right. Thank you very much. Yes, I will. Goodbye. He's lying to me. They all are. No, I know what happened. He switched prescriptions. That's it. He went to another pharmacy and substituted one bottle for another. I must find out. But I have to get help. Hello? Will you connect me with operator 32, please? Yes, long distance. Maybe I'll recall the police. Maybe. Hello, is this operator 32? Will you please try that number again in New Haven? You were supposed to let me know. Julia Cooper. Hello? Jim. Yes, this is Julia. Oh, Jim, I'm so glad I found you in. Yes, I got it. No, I can't talk to you about it now. I don't know. Jim, please. I'd rather not discuss it. Jim, I must hang up. I hear him. Tony, yes, I will. Maybe next week. Goodbye. Tony? Tony, is that you? Tony? I could have sworn I heard that door. Tony? Tony?
What's the matter, Julian?
You've been standing there all the time.
No, I just came in. I thought you were asleep. I didn't want to wake you.
Don't lie to me. You've been standing there all the time, listening to me, listening to every word. You've been spying on me, snooping.
Oh, now, Julia, please believe me. I told you I just came in.
No.
Now, please, darling, you'll make yourself sick again. Remember what the doctor said. You mustn't excite yourself.
No.
Now, please lie back, and I'll get you some...
Don't come near me. Leave me alone. I hate you. I hate everything about you. Your constant whining about not having any money of your own. Your tirades about being dependent on me. If you were any kind of a man, you would stop whining and do something about it, but you're not. You never will be.
Oh, Julia.
Don't look so hurt. So noble. I hate that about you, too, your hypocrisy. You don't love me. You never did. All you wanted was my money.
Oh, Julia, now you must stop that. You're overwrought. You're working yourself into a breakdown.
Oh, am I? Didn't you plan it this way? Isn't this what you wanted to happen?
No, of course not. You're nervous. You're upset.
Oh.
I never should have let you sit for me today. It tired you out. Now, please lie back and try to get some sleep. Please, Julia, you're very tired.
Yes. Oh, yes, I am very tired. I'm so weak.
That's right, darling. There.
Oh.
Now I'll get you a pill. Here you are, Julia. Take this and you'll feel much better.
What?
You'll go right to sleep.
What?
Take the pill, darling.
No. No!
Julia?
What?
Julia, what are you doing? Why are you packing?
I'm leaving. I'm leaving you for good. I won't stay here another minute, and don't you dare try to stop me.
Julia, darling, what's gotten into you? What do you expect to accomplish?
Nothing. I just never want to see you again. I want to go back among people who are decent and normal. Tony, don't you dare come near me. If you try anything, I swear I'll hit you with this lamp.
Julia, I want you to tell me why you're doing this. I want you to give me a direct answer.
All right, I'll tell you, Tony. You thought I was stupid, that I would never catch on, but I have. You weren't joking that first day. You married me for my money and nothing else, for my annuity. And ever since, you've been trying to kill me.
Oh, you're out of your mind.
First it was the window. You tried to push me out. And then the poison, but it didn't work. It didn't work in either case, and it won't work anymore.
Julia, you're suffering from hallucinations.
It's no use, Tony. It won't work any better than your other schemes.
What schemes? What schemes, Julia?
I know you, Tony. I know you better than you think. You're going to try and call the doctor and tell him that I've been acting irrationally. You're going to declare me insane, aren't you? Lock me up in an institution, and then the money will be legally yours.
Julia, you are insane. You must be to dream up something so fantastic.
Don't pretend to me, Tony. Don't lie. I hate liars. I know your plan. I heard you talk to her.
You heard me talk to whom?
You thought I was out. Away. Well, I wasn't. If you can spy on me, I can spy on you. I can eavesdrop, too.
What are you talking about?
I am talking about Gina. That's who I'm talking about. Isn't that her name? Aren't you plotting this whole thing with her? Deny it. I dare you to deny it.
I won't even bother. You're completely irrational.
It won't work, Tony, not in a million years. No matter what you do or say, you will never get the money. Never. I have written to my attorney. I wrote him yesterday, cutting you off. So you see, I've outsmarted you after all, you and your Gina.
Is this the letter you have in mind, Julia?
Tony? Where did you...
I found it in your purse.
You're rotten. You're rotten through and through.
Well, I want you to know why I took it, Julia. I suspected you'd try something like this, something you might regret.
Me?
And I wanted to give you a chance to reconsider.
You're horrible. You're a monster. You would stop at nothing to get what you want.
Oh, please believe me, Julia. I'm not trying to get what I want. I'm sorry if you think so. I'm sorry that your mind has become so warped with hate that you can't see anything clearly anymore. Here, Julia. You can have this letter. You can mail it now if you want to. I won't try to stop you. Please believe me, I had no intention of stopping you.
You don't...
Well, take it.
Oh, no. No, this is a trap. You're trying to trick me.
Oh, don't be a fool, Julia. Stop dramatizing yourself. Take it and get out.
No, I won't. I won't. I don't believe you.
Very well, then.
Oh, no, I was right. I was right all along. You were trying to trick me. But you can't prevent me from going through with it, Tony. You'll never prevent me again. Never, never, never.
Julia, where did you get that gun? Why, Julia? Why did you do it?
Because you were trying to kill me. You were going to put me away. You tried to poison me so you and your girlfriend...
No, Julia. The poison you speak of was of your making. Please believe me, you never really liked yourself, so you couldn't believe that anybody could possibly love you.
No, that's not true.
Give me the gun, Julia. I'll say it was an accident.
No, stay away from me.
Give it to me. Give it to me, Julia.
No. Don't come any closer or I'll shoot again. I warn you, don't touch me. Let go.
Hello. Yes, Gina, it's all over. Phony struggle, and out the window as planned. No, please believe me, Gina, it's true. All true. I'm free. Free as a bird. Only one hitch in the plan, darling. One slight hitch. We'll have to postpone that trip for a while. For a long while.
Suspense. You've been listening to Please Believe Me, starring Joan Loring and Robert Reddick, and written especially for Suspense by Ben Kagan. Suspense is produced and directed by Bruno Zerato Jr., music supervision by Ethel Huber. Listen again next week when we return with Friday, written by Jonathan Bundy, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Bill Rizzuto's Sports Time scores to the fans Monday through Saturday on the CBS Radio Network.
And now, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Friday the 13th? Unlucky? Nonsense. Rank superstition, that's all.
Listen now to Act One of Friday, starring Ivor Francis, and written especially for Suspense by Jonathan Bundy.
Look at it down there. Most beautiful little harbour this side of Clovelly and Plymouth O. And so peaceful and quiet down there now, you'd hardly believe that a few years ago we had us one of the busiest ports on all the coast of England. A high deal of trade went in and out of this port in those days, sometimes 3 and 4 ships a week. There was always them as laid over, too, and the hopes of picking up a cargo, unexpected, and fishing boats, plenty of them. But mostly it was trade. Ships and sailing men from all the 4 corners of the earth. And I was part of it. A few years ago, did I say? Well, I guess to be more exact, it was more like 40 years ago. Long time for a man. Shipping agent, I was. Not a single piece of pottery or sack of grain or bale of goods that didn't go through these hands of mine. Aye. Or through our hands, that is. You see, I had me a partner, Philip Morley by name. Fine young chap he was, too.
Why, in 7 or 8 years, he knew most as much about that business as I did.
There we are, Beckham. We're all ready for the Lorenta now. I've made all the arrangements, and she can start taking on cargo first thing in the morning.
Fine, Philip, my boy, excellent. But I'd say it's about time now, wouldn't you? Why a master like Captain Cunningham should have had such trouble filling out a crew, I never understand.
Something about the sailing date, he said.
Oh? Well, I don't see why. Well, now, I shall be off to London to arrange the insurance for her.
Some superstition it was.
Eh? That superstition?
Yes, sir.
Bah! Tommy rot. And, Philip, you know that as well as I do. Of course, the men behind the mast are superstitious, most of them, and omens and things and black cats across the deck. Aye, I'm carrying a hare's foot for luck, too. All right. They're kind of simple and amusing, and they're harmless. But this, well, if you ask me, my lad, it's carrying things just a bit too far. It's ridiculous. Well, isn't it, lad?
Well, of course, there was the Bristol Queen,
Oh,
Beckham.
the Bristol Queen and 100 others that left for the open sea on all days of the week.
Well, I know, sir.
No, Philip, it's all foolishness. Foolish superstition and nothing else. And don't you ever believe otherwise.
So I drove me up to London town, the big insurance exchange. Biggest in the world it was, with more than 200 brokers sitting around their tables and all in touch with what was going on by the means of that marvelous invention, the telegraph. And I talked with my old friend, Mr. Edward Etherington, who handled all my problems back those 40 years ago.
Ah, here we are now, Mr. Beckham. A quill and plenty of ink.
Good.
Now, you say the vessel is named the Lorenta.
Aye, Mr. Etherington, the Lorenta. One of the finest ships ever put to sea, sir.
Oh, yes, I believe I recall having insured her once before, on a sailing out of Southampton.
No doubt you have, sir.
Still under Captain Halsey Cunningham?
Yes, sir, the same.
Good. Now the value of the cargo, Mr. Beckham?
£15,000.
Oh, 15,000, eh?
Aye, sir. We're loading her with finished woolen goods to be carried to the port of Philadelphia in America.
Good. It's surprising how much the trade of that young country has increased recently.
Ah, it is.
Yes, especially with so much political strife between its north and south.
Aye, but Mr. Etherington, I confidentially predict that one day the international trade with America will be second only to the trade with England.
Oh, yes, perhaps so. Well, now, you wish full coverage?
Full coverage, sir.
Very well. £15,000 in finished woolens.
Aye.
And the destination is the port of... Oh, by the way, Beckham, have you set the sailing date?
That I have, Mr. Etherington.
And what is it, please?
April the 21st.
Let me see now. That would be...
No need to look, sir. That'll be Friday after the next Friday week.
Ah, yes, Friday? On a Friday?
That it is.
Oh, no. Then I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Eh? Now, what's the matter with that?
I trust you aren't jesting, Mr. Beckham.
Jesting? Hardly.
You mean you don't know?
I certainly don't.
Well, then I'll tell you what's the matter with it. No, wait, listen.
Now, you listen to me, Mr. Etherington. I won't...
Listen!
Gentlemen, I have a dispatch of great importance. The six-masted schooner Tremaine, long overdue at the port of Southampton. She is now known to have been completely wrecked in a severe storm off Basalt Reef. All hands, all cargo, lost.
There's your answer, Mr. Beckham.
Oh, it is, eh?
Aye. Because the Tremaine left her last port of call most ill-advisedly, sir. Left her port of call on a Friday.
Well, now, don't be absurd, Mr. Etherington. Surely you don't think her sailing on a Friday had anything to do with this?
Think, man? I know it did. And so do all the rest of the gentlemen here in the exchange.
Ah, nonsense.
Is it? Then what of the Klemper Hall that foundered in a hurricane off the coast of South America?
But that was in...
She sailed on a Friday, too.
I know, but...
And the Marley Kay
that perished off the coast
No,
of
no,
Africa.
look, wait a minute.
And the Capricano off the Azores, and the Dorset, don't you see? The Lee Cambria, the Plymouth Flyer. You name them, there have been dozens of them. All of them sailed on a Friday, Beckham, and they're all at the bottom of the sea.
And do you mean to tell me, Mr. Adrington, that you or any other supposedly intelligent person...
I tell you, Beckham, there is an unholy curse on Friday sailing.
Ah, come on now.
Well, ask the sailors. They know it. And most of them, those that have their wits about them, wouldn't sign on for a Friday clearance if their very lives depended on it.
Rubbish.
Most of the masters of our shipping fleet know it, too. But I suppose you didn't mention a possible Friday sailing to the men of the Lorenta?
Of course I did.
And they all agreed to it?
Yes, every one of them. Well, all but a stupid young midshipman who was easy enough replaced, and one of the galley boys. Well, does that answer your question?
No. Can't you understand, sir? Can't you see the disaster you're courting by letting that ship go out on a Friday?
No, I cannot. Believe me, sir, I've never heard anything so completely silly in all my life.
Silly?
Yes, utterly ridiculous.
Well, that is not the way the Admiralty feels about it, Beckham.
The Admiralty?
Aye. And you can mark my words, sir. Before this 12-month is over, there'll be an edict against Friday sailings, a royal edict.
Ah, Tommy rot. Now fix up these air papers so I can have my coverage for the Lorenta. Well, will you do it?
No, Beckham, not I.
Now you look here.
Not unless you change that date.
Very well. Then I shall have to take my business to someone else.
I'm sorry.
Not only now, but hereafter.
That is up to you.
But you mark my word, Edward Etherington. The Lorenta will sail on a Friday, and she'll be living proof of what a fool you've just made of yourself.
And so it was that I betook myself across the room to another of the insurance men, a younger man, intelligent-looking chap who I was certain would be above any such childish superstition.
Oh, yes, sir.
Beckham's my name, Henry Beckham.
What? Oh, yes, of course, Mr. Beckham. I've seen you here many times. My name is Archcroft, sir.
Mr. Archcroft.
Won't you sit down, please, sir?
Thank you.
Rather a regular client of Mr. Edward Etherington, aren't you?
Let us say rather I was.
Was?
Aye, but no longer. It may surprise you, after all these years of my dealing with Mr. Etherington, but I've now decided to let one of you other gentlemen handle my insurance business.
Why, of course, Mr. Beckham. And I give you my word that you'll never regret it. It will be an honor and a privilege to service your account, sir.
Thank you.
And is there anything that I can do for you here and now?
There is,
today?
Mr. Ratchcroft, there is.
Uh-huh.
I need insurance on a cargo and vessel that's sailing to America shortly.
Oh, fine, sir. And what is the name of the carrier?
The Lorenta.
Oh, yes. Good ship, sir. Yes. Captain Halsey Cunningham, I believe.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And the cargo, sir?
£15,000 worth of finished woolens.
£15,000 in... Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. There we are. And the sailing date, sir?
Friday, April the 20th.
Friday, sir.
That's right.
I'm sorry, sir, but I cannot handle it.
Now, look here, young man.
Unless, of course, you change that date. Don't you see, Mr. Beckham?
I see nothing. Silly, ridiculous superstition. That's all it is. I'll go elsewhere.
Friday? Oh, no, you can't mean it, Mr. Beckham.
I certainly do. Friday the 21st.
And I'm sorry, but the answer is no. I'm sorry, Mr. Beckham. Friday? Sailing on a Friday, did you say?
That's exactly what I said.
Oh, then I'm sorry, Mr. Beckham.
Now, just a minute, you. Just a minute.
Friday? No, sir, I wouldn't think of it.
Oh, you wouldn't?
No, get someone else, if you can.
Sorry, not I. Not for a Friday sailing.
Oh, a stupid...
Sorry.
Superstition,
Sorry.
you hear me?
No,
it's all
no.
nothing but a superstition. Sheer, stupid superstition. By heaven, I'll show 'em. I'll show 'em if it kills me. Hard-headed businessmen, they call themselves. But because of this nonsensical belief in a curse on Friday sailings, they turned me down.
Well, then, I'll tell you what I did. And I don't deny that by the time I got back here from London, back to all the old familiar things that have been so close to me so many years, well, I don't deny that more than once my determination began to waver a bit, as you might say. But ahead I went with my plan.
Beckham, what are you up to, man?
Philip, my friend, I'm selling out.
I don't understand.
I'm selling out to you, Philip.
Well, what on earth for?
Well, you've done well for Beckham and Morley. You've done well for yourself. That means you've saved enough to buy me out. Yeah, I've seen that. And so I'm selling out to you.
But why?
Because I have need of cash, a lot of cash.
Well, has something gone...
No, boy. Nothing's gone wrong. But if you'll buy me out, it'll give me what I need to finance the building of a ship.
A ship?
Yeah, to prove once and for all the absurdness of this Friday sailing superstition. Huh. And anything else of the sort that's connected with Friday. Once and for all.
Oh, I see.
So if I can have your check, Philip, I'll make arrangements with Mr. MacBarskin, the shipbuilder, on, the day after tomorrow.
The day... That's Friday.
That's right. Friday, as ever was. Yes. Yes, excellent, Mr. MacBarskin. And now then, build her as exactly as you've sketched her here, and she'll be exactly what I want.
Very well. And if I understand you correctly, Mr. Beckham, you'd like me to begin construction right away.
Just as soon as possible, provided that you keep to the schedule we discussed.
Yes, of course, the schedule. Well, that means we can start a week from today. So if you'll affix your signature to this contract and the date, right here, please.
Aye. Henry J. Beckham.
And the date, please.
Aye. Friday, April the 28th. And so it was. We'd made the contract on Friday, April the 28th. On Friday, May the 5th, began the building of the ship. My ship. And true to his word, Malcolm MacBarskin tended himself to every detail, and like myself, made certain there was no deviation, not by a single day, from the schedule that we had set. The date for laying of the keel was a Friday, and it was met. The frames were begun, the ribs and plating, and the deck structure, the caulking, the finishing, the painting. Every single step in her construction was begun on a Friday. And so it went on, through May and June, July, August, and September. And then finally, on a beautiful morning at the end of September...
Oh, she's a beauty, all right. Just wait until they get the canvas on her.
That won't be until after this launching.
I understand Beckham has done all this by himself.
Certainly hopes he proves his
Hey,
point.
here's the pretty girl up there with him. Wait now, they're getting ready. Wait now.
All ready now, my dear?
Yes, I guess so, Uncle Henry.
Very well, then. Now, hold the bottle tightly, and don't worry, when it breaks, the wrapping will keep it from hurting you, you see? So strike it with all your might.
But won't it splash all over my nasty dress that you got for me?
Oh, well, I'll buy you a dozen more, my dear. All prettier than this one. Now then, all ready now?
All ready, I guess.
Good. Then speak up loud and clear. Go on, dear. Just the way I told you to. Long may you sail.
Oh, yes. Long may you sail the seven seas, good ship.
That's right. And long...
And long may you prosper, each cargo richer than the last.
And may you serve to show to all mankind that the only truth is truth itself.
I still don't understand what that means, Uncle Henry.
You're doing fine, my dear. Now go right ahead. And now this day...
All right. And now this day, the 22nd day of September, a Friday.
That's right. Go on.
I christen thee to be known herever after as the good ship Friday.
Aye, there she was. My ship, the Friday, sliding down the ways,
gliding as graceful as a swan into the waters that would caress her for the rest of her natural life. And then, as she sat there bobbing gently on the tide, I knew I was right. That I now can prove I was right. As soon as she was fitted with her canvas, a matter now of only days, but one thing would remain. Aye, the fitting climax to my plan. The fitting final proof.
In just a moment, the concluding act of Suspense. You know, there's a lot of talk, sensible talk, about driving carefully. But there are times when you shouldn't drive at all. Don't drive when you're drowsy. Pull off the road and rest for a little while. Don't drive when you're angry or upset. People are apt to take out their anger on the car and cause a serious accident. And never drive if you've been drinking. Obeying these don'ts may save your life or someone else's.
And now my ship, in order to fulfill its destiny, required not only the best of crews, from first mate to cabin boy, but the finest master I could find. A master truly worthy of her, and who would also meet my, yes, I'll admit it, my rather unusual requirements. And when I did find him, I knew that he was the man.
And let me assure you again, Mr. Beckham, I deem it a privilege to take the command of this fine ship of yours.
And I was certain you'd feel that way about it, Captain. Now, as for the sailing date, to begin our maiden voyage.
Any time you say, Mr. Beckham. Immediately, if you like.
Immediately? Aren't you forgetting the schedule?
Oh, of course.
And always remember this, Captain.
Aye, sir.
I selected you to be the master of my ship because of your excellent record and reputation.
Yes, thank you, sir, thank you.
But also, and more important, Captain, to prove once and for all the utter fallaciousness of that absurd superstition.
Absolutely.
Now, you must understand that, Captain. You must understand that, how important that is to me.
I do.
You must understand that that is my only reason for having undertaken all this and for having selected only you.
And I do understand, Mr. Beckham. I do understand.
I'm glad you do. I'm glad you do, Captain Friday. And finally, then, the day. And there she was, my fine new ship, the Friday, conceived on a Friday, built on a pattern of Fridays, christened and launched on a Friday, under the command of Captain Friday. The day, Friday, October the 13th, under a clear blue sky, proud in a new paint and polished brass and billowing canvas, with flags and pennants flying, the good ship Friday, under Captain Friday, sailed out of the harbor on a maiden voyage and sailed on a Friday. Thousands of people who'd heard of her and what she meant. Thousands thronged the piers to wish her bon voyage and cheer her on her way, to wish her Godspeed. Bells rang and whistles blew in her honor. In my honor, for here at last was living proof beyond the shadow of a doubt, that the silly, ridiculous, childish superstition about Friday being unlucky was indeed a superstition and nothing else. I'd staked my everything on her. All my money. Yes, almost my soul. And now, before the doubters, before the world, I'd prove that I was right. I'd won. Except for one thing. The ship was never heard of again. The ship was never heard of again.
Suspense. You've been listening to Friday, starring Ivor Francis, and written especially for Suspense by Jonathan Bundy. Suspense is produced and directed by Bruno Zerato Jr. Music supervision by Ethel Huber. Featured in tonight's story were William Redfield as Morley, Robert Dryden as Etherington, Mercer McLeod as Captain Friday, Lawson Zerby as Archcroft, and Hetty Galen as the girl. Also in our cast were Bill Lipton, Herb Duncan, and Dave Gilbert. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank Radio TV Daily and the more than 400 radio and TV critics and columnists who just voted Suspense the dramatic show of the year on radio. Listen again next week when we return with The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Heavenly Days, it's Richard Hayes, Monday through Fridays on the CBS Radio Network. And now, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense. Tomorrow is Abraham Lincoln's birthday. 97 years ago, Lincoln, one of our greatest presidents, died, slain by the bullet of the actor John Wilkes Booth. Many historians feel that if Lincoln had lived, our history and world history would have been profoundly changed for the better. With this in mind, we bring you now a strange and unusual drama, The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln. This first portion of Suspense is brought to you by Alpine Cigarettes. In a moment, Act One of The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln, starring Court Benson as Tom and Ian Martin as the Professor, and written especially for Suspense by Robert Arthur.
What's it like to smoke an Alpine? Well, it's like many fresh little things that please you. It's like the stirring of leaves when a breeze comes up, like a weather vane turning in a summer sky, the way the air feels in the morning when you open the door to get the paper. That's what it's like to smoke an Alpine. Alpine is nothing at all like the sort of smoking you may be used to. Alpine is a fresh, freewheeling kind of smoke, a bright, bracing, even invigorating kind of taste, pack after pack. If this sounds good to you, try Alpine.
There's something more to smoking with an Alpine cigarette.
All right, now, Tom, give me the readings on that gauge, please. It's calibrated in years.
In years? Right. It says 1914 now. 1913, 1912, 1911, 1910, 1910. It stopped moving.
Well, the accumulated tension is too great to overcome, but I'll try greater power. That's what I was afraid of. Field coil blew out. But at least I added a couple of years. The projective force went all the way back to 1910. That's 52 years.
Professor Hodges, what do you intend to call this invention?
Oh, well, I could call it, let's see, an electronic compressor for transmitting personality patterns across temporal gap.
Time machine would be simpler.
Yes, but it wouldn't be accurate. In one sense, a time machine is a total impossibility, believe me. But in another sense, everyone travels in time constantly.
I'm not sure I'm following you, Professor Hodges.
All right, what happened on your 10th birthday?
Why, well, I had a big party. I got a pony for a present, and I rode him all over the lawn. I can still feel the licking I got for ruining the lawn.
Now, you see, you just traveled back 28 years in time. Mentally, of course.
Yeah, I did, didn't I?
Exactly. Now, suppose I connected this apparatus to you. Suppose I then focused it on some special date in history and at some special point where I knew people were present. Are you following me?
Yes, I think so, sir.
Now, the electronic circuits would take your memory pattern, your personality, amplify it millions of times, and push it back into the past, into the mind of some person at that particular spot at that particular time.
I see.
You'd be able to think with his mind, see with his eyes, hear with his ears, and move about with his body.
Well, put it that way, it doesn't sound quite so impossible.
Oh, it's very much possible. Of course, there are difficulties.
I imagine there must be a lot of them.
Oh, the technical difficulties can be overcome, but... Well, now, for instance, suppose your mind finds itself inside the mind of a very strong-willed individual who fights you.
Ah, yes, I see the problem. He might dominate you, make you helpless.
Yes, it's all very uncertain.
Well, uncertainty is one of the natural principles of existence, Professor.
Oh. Then, would you be willing to take the risk, Tom?
Risk? You mean of a trip into the past?
That's just what I mean. Now, look, Tom, you're only 38, but you're already one of the world's foremost authorities on Abraham Lincoln.
Thank you, sir. I think I'm pretty well grounded on the subject anyway.
I've read your books, and I've followed your career ever since you were one of my students. I know that you believe Abraham Lincoln's death at the hands of John Wilkes Booth in 1865 was one of the great tragic turning points in history.
No, it was. If Lincoln had lived, Professor, why, this would be a different world. He would have healed the wounds of the Civil War and left us a great nation decades sooner. We would have been a world power by 1900. We would have had the strength to prevent both world wars. We'd be living in a world so much better that... I'm letting myself get carried away again, speculating about suppose Lincoln had lived.
All right, son. Suppose he had lived.
I know, but he didn't.
Tom, today is February 11th, 1962. Tomorrow is the anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Now, almost 97 years ago, on April 15th, 1865, Lincoln was assassinated. How would you like to go back across those 97 long years and save Abraham Lincoln's life? Are you comfortable, Tom? The electrodes I've attached to your head don't hurt.
Oh, I'm fine, Professor. A little excited, that's all. Even though this is just an experimental jaunt.
Oh, back to the year 1912. 50 years, a half a century. Now, you see the old public library across the street? Boarded up, deserted, dead.
Yes, I used to take books out of there when I was a boy.
And so did your father.
Yes, he met my mother there. She was a young librarian, and he went in for a book. Well, it's family history. He was so bowled over at meeting her, he forgot the book and left it behind.
And he also forgot to sign his name on the library card in the back of the book. Look, Tom, I have it here. Henderson's Life of Lincoln.
The same book. And it looks as if no one's taken it out in the last 40 years.
No one has. Here's the card. Here's the line where your father should have signed. Perfectly blank. Tom, you are going back 50 years and sign that card that your father forgot to sign.
I'm going to enter my father's mind 50 years ago?
Exactly. You'll see with his eyes, hear with his ears, and think with his mind. Now remember, you're to change the past. You're to sign that library card.
Right, Professor.
So, concentrate on the time. Noon, April 10th, 1912. Say it aloud yourself.
Noon, April the 10th, 1912. Noon, April the 10th, 1912. Noon. April the 10th,
1912.
Sir,
Noon.
what is it? Are you ill?
Where am I?
Why, this is the public library. And I have the book you requested, The Life of Lincoln. Why are you staring at me so oddly, sir?
It's 12 o'clock. What's the date?
Why, April 10th, 1912.
And today's the first time I ever saw you, isn't it?
Yes.
But you're Mary Andrews from Philadelphia.
Why...
You just started working here today.
Well, yes, but how did you know?
How did I know? Why, I seem to have always known. It's queer. It's as if there were a voice in my mind telling me things.
Are you sure you're all right?
Just a little dizzy. The effect of love at first sight.
Oh, please, sir.
I mean it. Mary, Miss Andrews, will you have lunch with me?
Why,
Good, that's settled. It's lunchtime. Get your hat.
Well, all right, I will. But this book, don't you want to take it?
Oh, bother the book. Lincoln can wait. But wait a minute. There's something I'm trying to remember. Something I have to do. That's it. I do have to sign the card.
Oh, not if you don't want to.
Yes, I do. I must. There's something in my mind, something telling me not to fail. I have to hurry. Feeling a little dizzy. My name, Tom Morrison. No, not Tom. What's wrong with me? Henry Morrison. There. Card's all signed. Now
Mr. Morrison, you're so pale. Can I get you a drink of water? Mr. Morrison? Mr. Morrison? Mr. Morrison?
Look, Tom, look. The library card.
Now it's signed. My father's name, Henry Morrison.
Yes, but he started to sign it Tom Morrison. Then he crossed out Tom and wrote Henry. That proves that your personality was dominant, if just for a moment.
I know, but it was all so ephemeral.
But the point is that history was changed. You proved it can be done. And if you can do that, you can go back and save Abraham Lincoln's life. But first, we have more tests ahead of us. Tom, how would you like to go back and hear the Gettysburg Address in person?
Hey, you, take care. You pushed me.
Sorry, I felt dizzy. Where am I? This crowd.
Are you crazy? You're in Gettysburg, and this crowd has come to hear Lincoln speechify, just as I have, all the way from Washington. Now, be quiet. He's starting.
7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We're met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field that those who here gave their lives that this nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we do this. But in another sense, we cannot dedicate.
Professor, I saw Lincoln, and I heard him deliver the Gettysburg Address. It's strange. His voice was even higher pitched than I'd imagined.
You stayed in the past a full hour. That's tremendous, Tom. Now, whose mind were you in?
Oh, it turned out to be a farmer named Evans, a simple fellow. After the first moment, I was completely in control. I could have done anything I wanted. His mind couldn't have stopped me.
That proves my theory. Now we're ready for the real thing. We'll leave for Washington tomorrow. We'll set up our equipment and instruments in the Ford Theater itself.
The Ford Theater?
Yes. And you are going to return to that fateful night and prevent that murderer's shot from being fired. Well, everything seems to be working. I was afraid the trip by truck might have jarred some of the components.
How still it is here. How hushed. It's as if not a single sound had been uttered here since the night Lincoln was shot.
Yes, past seems alive. Oh, they say that time turns back for no one, that the moving finger writes and having writ moves on. But you and I will alter the writing in the book of fate, We can't fail. We have only this one chance.
I won't fail. Abraham Lincoln is going to live.
Never lose that thought, Tom. Now, let's work out our strategy. We have the place to ourselves until tomorrow morning. I convinced the management I was engaged in some tests that need absolute privacy, so we don't have to hurry.
Good. We have to work out where everybody was. The interior, has been changed around here somewhat since this was last used as a theater.
Well, you're the Lincoln expert. You tell me where, and I'll do the rest.
All right, well, let's see. Yes, over there was the box office. And then, over here was the entrance into the auditorium. All this space was the auditorium. There, of course, the stage. And up there, Professor, is the private box where Lincoln sat. Now, at about 9 o'clock in the evening, President and Mrs. Lincoln entered with 2 guests. The play had already started. A man named Buckingham took their tickets, and an usher led them up a set of stairs to their box.
Now, go on, Tom. I'm following. The exact movements of everyone are very important.
Well, at about 10 after 10, John Wilkes Booth sauntered in. He spoke to Buckingham, and then he went upstairs toward Lincoln's booth. In his pocket, he carried a brass derringer loaded with 1 shot.
And he struck almost immediately.
Yes, sir. The president had an armed guard, John F. Parker, but Parker was criminally negligent. He left Lincoln unguarded, which gave Booth his fatal chance. Well, he fired, leapt to the stage, and made his getaway. Lincoln died the next day.
Tom, son, think of it. Tomorrow, if we succeed, the history books will say Lincoln lived. All history for nearly 100 years will be changed for the better.
We'll succeed. We'll have to.
It'll depend on you, Tom. You'll have to save Lincoln and probably kill Booth. Now, let's get the equipment set up in the right spots. Yeah, everything's working. How do you feel?
Keyed up, anxious to get started. I can't tell you how excited I am.
If anything goes wrong, it can kill you, Tom.
I'm willing to take the chance, sir.
And also, if anything goes wrong, we won't get a second chance.
I know. So let's recheck now everything that I'm going to do. First, you plan to send me back into the mind of Buckingham, the ticket taker.
Well, he's the logical choice, and I hope we can count on his being a man of no great mental attainments. Success or failure may rest on that.
Yes, of course. It'd be fatal if I found myself in the mind of someone strong and determined whom I couldn't control.
If that happens, son, do nothing. Will yourself back to your own time. Change nothing. Under those conditions, we can try again. Once you've changed anything, we can never make another effort.
Yes, I understand.
However, I don't think anything will go wrong. Now, we know exactly where Buckingham stood and can focus the temporal personality transmitter very closely. Now, Tom, you know it'll take a supreme effort.
Yes, I know, sir.
I think you will have to force the ticket taker, Buckingham, to kill John Wilkes Booth.
Very well. I will, if necessary.
Then just keep telling yourself, save Lincoln. Kill Booth.
Save Lincoln. Kill Booth. I'll think of nothing else.
Then here you go. Back to 1865. Good luck.
Save Lincoln. Kill Booth. Save Lincoln. Kill Booth. Save Lincoln.
Steady, man.
Kill.
Steady. Hell, you almost fell then. What are you mumbling to yourself about? Drinking again, is that it?
Where am I?
Why, this is Ford's Theater, of course. If you need the date, it's April 14th, Anno Domini 1865. What's wrong with you, man?
Just dizzy for a moment. So I'm here, on the scene. Ford's Theater, the night of Abraham Lincoln's assassination. I'm here.
What's that about Lincoln? Yes, of course he's here tonight. Everybody knows that.
Yes, of course. The lobby of Ford's Theater. And he hasn't arrived yet. We've done it, and I can't fail. I won't.
Oh, boy. You're in a bad way, mumbling to yourself and staggering. Now, look, you better go home, lie down, sleep it off.
I'm all right. Yes, I'm quite all right.
The play's going on, you know. You mustn't disturb the president.
No, the president. Yes, the president. He mustn't be disturbed. I'll see he isn't disturbed.
You're certainly acting strangely tonight.
Acting? Who are you to be a judge of acting? No, I mean, it's just a temporary lapse, but my name, am I Buckingham?
Well, that's a good one. Tell him, Harry, is our friend's name Buckingham?
Well, I doubt it, since your name is Buckingham.
That's right. Say, how much did you have to drink?
We missed. Somehow we missed. I'm someone else.
Buckingham, what the deuce is he muttering to himself?
It won't make any difference. I'll find him, kill him.
Look, why don't you go in and sit quietly until you're yourself again? Now, just don't make any noise.
No, I can't sit down. I've got to find someone. But who? I guess Lincoln and John Wilkes Booth. Save one, kill the other.
Oh, hey, Buckingham, help me hold him up. He's staggering. All right.
Dizzy. I've got to concentrate on Lincoln. Booth, concentrate.
There's no whiskey on his breath. He's ill. We better get him outside.
Yeah, come along, old fella.
No, I'm all right. It's past 10. I have something important to do. Matter of life and death. Tell me, have you seen Booth? John Wilkes Booth, the actor?
Have we seen Booth?
Yes, I want to find. Come over me. Peculiar dizzy spell, then. Can't let that happen. I have too important a project to carry out.
That's strange. He's recovered.
Excuse me, gentlemen. I have to go in. I have a very important engagement to keep tonight. Yes, very important. A matter of life and death. Good night, gentlemen. This is a night when history will be made.
Well, that was a funny performance. He wasn't drunk, but he certainly seemed to have something on his mind.
He talked like two different men there part of the time.
Yes.
Well, with him, you never know what he's up to. Those actors. A strange bunch. Just imagine him asking us if we'd seen John Wilkes Booth.
Concentrate. Feel queer, but concentrate. Kill. Here's the door. There you are, Mr. President.
What is it, my good fellow? What do you wish?
To give you this.
Suspense. You've been listening to The Man Who Went Back to Save Lincoln, starring Court Benson as Tom and Ian Martin as the Professor, and written especially for Suspense by Robert Arthur. Suspense is produced and directed by Bruno Zerato Jr., music supervision by Ethel Huber. Featured in tonight's story were Margaret Draper as Mary Andrews, Cliff Carpenter as Buckingham, Ralph Bell as the man. The voice of Abraham Lincoln was created by Jim Bowles. Listen again next week when we return with The Old Boyfriend, written by Peter Fernandez. Another tale well calculated to keep you in Suspense. Get in the game with Phil Rizzuto's Sports Time every night but Sunday on the CBS Radio Network.